I think this is a huge opportunity for football. It's a huge opportunity for the Premier League. I agree with David. The Premier League is the strongest that I've ever seen it in terms of football performance in this last few months. It's absolutely brilliant. And I think about 7 or 8 months ago, off the back of Super League, off the back of Project Big Picture, off the back of Bury going bust, I said I liked football a little less. I think yesterday reading that report made me feel warm about the opportunity that exists for football to come together. And, let's not forget at this moment in time that the Premier League itself has lost control of its own members. The 14 have got a problem with the 6. The 6 have got a problem with the 14. Big Picture and Super League, the European Super League, divided the Premier League clubs, as did the introduction of, say, for instance, the Saudi ownership, where they voted 18-2, and the sort of divide over whether, the fit and proper owners test. I just feel that we're talking here about an independent regulator. An independent regulator shouldn't be something that's feared by the Premier League. In fact, the independent regulator's number one priority should be to maintain the exceptional standard of the Premier League. None of us want to see the Premier League quality. However, what we do want to see is a fairer game, some stronger financial regulation across through the pyramid, a better distribution model, whilst maintaining, like I say, the excellent league that we have.
There's huge support for this across fans, from the wider public, and from parliamentarians across the various parties. Parliament's having a difficult time at the moment with credibility and whatever. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for Parliament to show it can work in a mature way, a unified way, and do something together, which is a win-win. It's a win for the government. It's a win for Parliament. It's a win for all the parties. I think it will show. It will show our democracy in a very good form, and will go down extremely well with the public.
One thing I was really interested in asking Gary and David about was specifics. For instance, if we had a football regulator, would the football regulator have done anything about the takeover of Newcastle United? Would the regulator stop the leveraged buyout of clubs? For instance, we know that the Glazer family bought Manchester United with borrowed money. And they made a good point. When it came to Newcastle, they said, look, we can't second guess what the regulator would have done, whether it would have allowed the takeover to go ahead. But they said that at least the process would have been more transparent. Because at the moment, we don't know much about the process. We don't know what happened behind closed doors at the Premier League and with the government.
And that's what everyone, to be fair, that's what the Newcastle fans and the Newcastle's new owners wanted that as well. They wanted transparency about why it wasn't going
exactly
through.
And they both made the point that if we did have an independent regulator, there would be that transparency. Fans would know what was happening. It wouldn't all be done behind closed doors. And I also thought it was important to ask them a question which a lot of people will be thinking, who's the regulator going to be? How are you going to find somebody who's independent? How are you going to find somebody who has no affiliation with a football team whatsoever? What happens if you have a regulator and he decides not to give Derby County a licence, and then it comes out that his ex-wife used to have a season ticket at Nottingham Forest? How are you going to find somebody who's totally independent? And basically what Gary and David said is, it's not for us to choose who the regulator is going to be.
It can't be one person.
It's not exactly, that's the key point. It's not going to be one person. Yes, there will be a chair, but it is going to be a board. It was going to be a whole body, I imagine. Hundreds of people will work at this regulator if it's going to be something like Ofcom.
People not connected directly to the football clubs.
Exactly. So I think we need to stop thinking that it's going to be just one person. And the other thing, reading the whole report, that comes to mind is, it reminds me of that song by John Lennon, Imagine. Imagine a future where there's no war, there's no borders, everyone's happy, everyone gets on with each other. And reading that report, that is the kind of future they see for football. It is going to be this great future where everyone's going to get on, no clubs are going to go out of business, the fans are going to be happy, ticket prices are going to be sensible, replica shirts are going to be cheap, you can drink in the stands, everything's going to be marvellous. Now, that's great, but we live in the real world, and I'm not sure whether all this will come to pass.